It's being hailed as one of the best movies of the year, even a possible Oscars contender. Train Dreams starts streaming on Netflix today. Prime anchor Linsey Davis spoke with the star of the film, Joel Edgerton. Take a look.
Train Dreams is a story that began on the page, a short novel by author and Pulitzer Prize finalist Dennis Johnson that unfolds amid the raw beauty of the Pacific Northwest and relentless change of early 20th century industrial America. Now the folktale is coming alive on screen, showcasing stillness, sorrow, and the enduring power of solitude. Let's take a look.
This is rough work, gentlemen. Not just on the body. We just cut down trees that have been here for 500 years. Upsets a man's soul whether he recognizes it or not.
That was Joel Edgerton portraying Robert Grenier, a humble logger and railroad worker. Joel, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
So we got a little bit of a taste there where you hear just the birds and you see the trees. There's a lot of stillness, a lot of silence. What was the most challenging part for you in conveying that isolation?
Well, you know, it's beautiful being out in the forest, but I guess the challenge was we're telling the story of an entire life of one man spanning decades, and not just the breadth of life and the beautiful nature of falling in love and the joys of life, and also some of the sadnesses of it. Yeah.
There's a line in the film that says the world needs a hermit in the woods as much as a preacher in the pulpit. Would you agree with that sentiment?
I would agree with that. I mean, we all have our place, and you know, one of the great things about this story is it celebrates the life of an ordinary person, which I think, you know, most of us feel like we are, and to hold up an ordinary life and to acknowledge the heroic nature of just being alive and all the things you go through.
You've previously said something to the effect of that people of few words, there's really a potency to watching them. For you, what was the inspiration? What did you really tap into as far as really kind of expressing those mundane kind of everyday moments?
Well, I feel like most of the men that I grew up with, and I think it's sort of maybe a bit of a generalization, but a lot of men carry around a lot of feelings and express them unexpressed to their own detriment sometimes, or feeling like they don't have a position in the world to rail against the things that happen to them and around them. And I feel like we can relate to that so much that my character really doesn't need to be a man of monologues, you know?
And to that point, you really kind of have a co-actor there with the Pacific Northwest, which really is a living, breathing character as well. What was it like to immerse yourself in the remote wilderness? The
director and the cinematographer really acknowledged that nature is very much a character in the film. As you point out, it's not just the backdrop. But as you find out when you watch the story too, one of the big events that happens to Robert in his life is at the hands of the world around him, the nature that he's living in. And I think there's a big relatability for people that living in this country in recent years know that the world is a beautiful but can also be a dangerous place.
Do you ever have a role that changes you, the person? Because we were talking a moment ago about how men often have all these feelings but don't necessarily express it in words and actions.
It definitely made me feel an amplified guilt about the way that I relate to the world and being good to the planet, you know. But in terms of character, this movie is beautiful. It sort of can crack your soul open and make you realise what's valuable about the life we live. At the end of the day, is not material goods. It's about the people we move through our life with. And it really resonated for me on that level. And as an actor, it made me want to play more characters that have more of a personal connection to who I am, rather than hiding behind all the masks that I like to when I play dress-ups.
Joel, such a pleasure to have you here. Thank you so much for the time. Train Dreams is playing now in theaters and streaming on Netflix.